There's a person on the ground who can completely change the fate of an airplane in seconds. You'll never see them, and you'll probably never hear their name. But every time you fly, your life may pass through their hands. That person is an air traffic controller. While passengers sit back, watch movies, and wait for their destination, controllers are watching aircraft move through the sky, tracking their positions, managing altitude, spacing arrivals and departures, and communicating constantly with pilots. And the strange part is this: when they do their job perfectly, nobody notices. There's no applause, no headlines, no passenger who ever knows that a controller just helped guide their flight safely through a complicated piece of airspace. But behind that calm voice on the radio is one of the most demanding jobs in aviation. A controller's shift can begin like any normal workday. They enter the facility, check their equipment, review traffic conditions, weather information, runway configurations, and anything else that could affect aircraft movement. Then they take their position. And from that moment, the pace can change quickly. An airport that looks calm from the terminal can be incredibly complicated from the control room. One aircraft is preparing for departure, another is approaching the runway, a third is climbing through the airspace. A fourth may be changing its route because of weather, and every aircraft has to maintain safe separation from the others. That's where the real skill begins. Controllers aren't simply telling pilots where to fly, they're managing a constantly changing three-dimensional puzzle. Aircraft are moving at different speeds, different altitudes, and different directions. A decision that makes sense for one aircraft can create a problem for another several miles away. And weather can make the puzzle even harder. Thunderstorms can force aircraft to change course. Strong winds can affect approaches. Low visibility can change how an airport operates. Suddenly, a controller who was managing a normal flow of traffic has to reorganize the entire picture. And there's something passengers almost never see. The controller has to stay calm while the situation around them changes. They can't panic. They can't become distracted. And they can't simply stop and think for 10 minutes. They have to process information and communicate clearly while the traffic keeps moving. That's why communication is so important. A controller's instructions have to be precise. The pilot needs to understand exactly what is being said, repeat the instruction when required, and carry it out correctly. A single, unclear communication can create confusion. And in aviation, confusion is something you want to eliminate before it becomes a problem. But here's where the job gets even more interesting. Air traffic controllers aren't working alone. Behind the scenes, different controllers and control facilities coordinate aircraft as they move from one section of airspace to another. An airplane doesn't simply take off and fly directly to its destination under one person's control. Responsibility is coordinated across different parts of the system. It's more like passing a moving object between several highly trained teams without ever losing track of it. And the handoff has to happen at the right moment. Too early, and the next controller may not be ready. Too late, and the aircraft could enter another sector without the proper coordination. The entire system depends on timing. Then there's the mental pressure. A controller can spend hours maintaining concentration, even when nothing dramatic is happening. And that may actually be one of the hardest parts. Human brains are naturally attracted to sudden changes, but air traffic control requires attention, even during routine periods, because routine can change instantly. One moment, the radar screen looks manageable. The next, several aircraft arrive at once. An aircraft needs a different runway. Weather changes. A pilot reports a problem. Now the controller has to prioritize. Which aircraft needs attention first? What traffic could be affected? Where is the safest available path? Who needs to be contacted? And what information does the next controller need to know? All of that happens while aircraft continue moving. This is why training for the job is so demanding. Controllers have to learn procedures, airspace, communication, equipment, decision-making, and how to handle unusual situations. They don't simply walk into a control room and start directing airplanes. They have to demonstrate that they can handle the responsibility before they're trusted with real traffic. And even after training, the learning doesn't stop. Procedures change, technology changes, airspace changes, airports change, the traffic changes. So controllers have to keep their skills sharp. But there's another side of the job that most people never consider. The responsibility doesn't disappear when the shift ends. A controller can walk out of the facility, drive home, eat dinner, and go to bed like anyone else. But during those hours at work, thousands of people may be moving through the aviation system they help manage. That doesn't mean every controller is personally responsible for every passenger. Aviation safety is built around layers of people, procedures, technology, and teamwork. And that's exactly what makes the system so impressive. No single person keeps aviation safe. Pilots do their part. Controllers do theirs. Dispatchers, engineers, maintenance crews, airport staff, weather specialists, and countless others all contribute. The passenger sees an airplane. The aviation system sees an enormous network of people working together, and the controller sits right in the middle of that network. There's also a misconception that the job is simply about telling airplanes when to take off and land. It's much bigger than that. Controllers manage traffic on the ground and in the air, depending on their role and facility. They help aircraft move safely through busy airspace. They coordinate with pilots and other controllers. They manage spacing. They respond to changing conditions. And when something unexpected happens, they help turn chaos into an organized plan. That's the hidden skill. Not making the perfect decision when everything is calm. Making a good decision when everything changes. Because passengers rarely notice the moments when air traffic control works perfectly. They don't hear every coordination call. They don't see every adjustment happening behind the scenes. They don't know that the aircraft approaching from the left had to be sequenced with another aircraft arriving from the opposite direction. They simply land. And that's the point. The best safety systems are often invisible. You notice them when they fail. You rarely notice them when they work. So the next time you're sitting beside an airplane window, watching another aircraft cross the sky, remember that there is an entire network of people making sure those aircraft can share the same sky safely. Some are in the cockpit, some are on the ground, some are behind screens and radar displays that most passengers will never see. And somewhere in that system, an air traffic controller is listening, watching, calculating, communicating, and preparing for whatever happens next. The biggest lesson isn't just about aviation, it's about responsibility. Some of the most important jobs in society are the ones you barely notice. You don't see the work because the system is working. So the next time you fly, take a second to think about the people behind that ordinary experience. And if you ever wondered what it takes to keep thousands of aircraft moving through the same sky, now you know a little more about the secret life of an air traffic controller. If you found this fascinating, hit like, subscribe. For more documentaries about the hidden lives behind everyday life, and tell me in the comments. Would you ever want to be an air traffic controller?